which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we also have forgiven our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. Amen.
And now, Dr. Mike will give us an inspired message.
Amen.
Well, people from the very beginning of time have always had these questions. Who is God? And what's God like? And where can we find God? And how can I know Him? So if we can answer all those questions, we're the smartest people in the world. Probably in the universe. So many people today kind of remain skeptical because they believe that evidence of God is more of a wishful thinking type of thing, or some kind of ancient mythology or primitive superstition. Because their answer is, how could there be a loving God if He consigns people to hell just for not believing in Him? How could miracles contravene the basic laws of nature? And didn't evolution reasoning dispel belief in the supernatural? So that's all their questions that they have today. We ask, what is the definition of God? Well, every one of us would probably have a little different definition of God, but we can all agree on certain things. That none of us can totally comprehend God or even define Him in abstract terms. We ask, what did Jesus say about God? When He was talking to the Samaritan woman at the well, He said to her, God is spirit. And they that worship Him must worship in spirit and in truth. What does the Bible say about God? The Bible reveals that God is a pure spiritual being, without a material body, invisible to the human eye. He cannot be seen, because He does not possess bodily parts, or is He composed of bodily elements. God is without material composition. You know, Paul tells us in Colossians 1:15 that God was invisible. In Exodus, it says God cannot be seen with our physical eyes. In Exodus 33:20, it says, thou canst not see my face, for there shall no man see me and live. John 5:37 says, no man has seen God at any time, nor seen His shape. In 1 Timothy 6:16, it says, whom no man has seen nor can see. And so God is distinct from this world, since He doesn't have a physical being, but He can manifest Himself. He can manifest Himself in a visible form. He desires to do so. God reveals to us that God has, the Scripture reveals to us that God has revealed Himself in different forms through the years. In Genesis 16:11, He was identified Himself as an angel. In Exodus 13:21, He revealed Himself as a burning bush. In Exodus 13:21, it says, as a pillar of cloud and a pillar of fire. In Judges 6:34, it says, He revealed Himself as a spirit. In John 1:32, it says, like a dove. And as a man in the man of Jesus Christ. So God is then a spirit, or creative energy. He is the cause of all visible things. And God as spirit is the invisible life, intangible, and intelligence underlying all physical things. And we call that life. God, without God, there would be no life. So there could be no body or visible part to anything unless there was spirit or creative cause before. So though we have physical form, we can see, was not God, we would not exist. And so God is a name that we give to that unchangeable, inexorable principle at the source of all existence. God is the creative underlying cause of all things. God is perfect love. God is infinite power. God is the total of all things good, whether manifested or unexpressed. And so since God is spirit, we can't see him. We can't see him with our physical eyes, but because we are all made in the image of God, we all are truly spiritual. And if we clothe ourselves with a spiritual body, then spirit becomes manifest, and we can recognize it. So as each of us clothe ourselves in the Spirit, the Holy Spirit, we become visible to others that are also spiritually minded. And so when we look at one another, we don't see thinking, we don't see feeling. All we see is an outward manifestation. We see a physical body. God is love. We can't see love. We can't understand what love is, except when his love is coupled with God. All love in the universe is God. But we see only the least bit of God as it pushes forth through visible form and manifestation. You know, the love between a husband and wife, that is God's love. The mother's love for a child is God's love. And we see different degrees of manifestation of love, but it's still the same love. It's God's love. This is a manifestation of God. And so God, love is the expression of God's nature. And God's nature is to love. And his love encircles the world. God is wisdom. God is intelligence. And all the intelligence we can see in the universe is God projecting himself through visible form. All the wisdom in the universe is available to every one of us to the capacity that we're able to express it in our own lives. Wisdom and intelligence does not come from the outside. It comes from the inside. This intelligence that we look for, it's latent within each of us. It's waiting to be called upon. It's waiting to teach us all things. And so God is power. All the power that there is in the universe is God. And God, who is the source of our existence, is not only omnipotent, all-powerful, he is omniscient, all-knowing, and he is omnipresent. You know, Paul said, God is not far away from every one of us. And so how do we differ from God? As human beings, we're prisoners of time. We're creatures of the calendar. We're slaves to the Father. Well, God is infinite spirit. He transcends all these things. He is not bound by space. He's not subject to limitations of time. God is omniscient. He is the all-knowing one. In 1 John 3:20 says, God is greater than our life and knows all things. So God is a creator, knows everything. He sees all things. David said, such knowledge is too wonderful for me. It is high, I cannot attain unto it. And Paul speaks these words, oh, the depths of the riches are both of the wisdom and knowledge of God. And so God is behind everything. Everything that we define as being good. God is the substance of the real thing. He stands under every visible form of life, love, intelligence, power. So everything in the universe, whether living or not, is a manifestation of this one Spirit. It only differs in the degree of manifestation. So each of the numberless manifestations or individualities, however insignificant, contains the whole. We explain this by, the hologram. We've all played with holograms. And once you form a hologram and you make a picture of that, you can cut that hologram up into multiple parts and shine the laser back through that, and you'll see the whole. That won't be the complete whole, but it'll look the whole. It just doesn't have as much detail. We look at the ocean, and we take one drop of the water of the ocean, and we find that the constituents of that water are perfectly combined. The same ratio, the perfect ratio, the perfect relation to the ocean. There is no difference except in quantity. So each drop of the entire ocean is just lesser degree of the whole ocean. And so from these examples, we see the manifestation of God always contains the whole. Not for the moment meaning that each individual is God in his entirety, but each is God come forth into manifestation in different quantities and different degrees. And man is the highest manifestation of God. It's the fullest and the most complete expression of God. And God has given man dominion over the earth. And so God is not only the created cause of every visible form of intelligence and life, from its beginning to every visible form of intelligence and life, but God lives within every created thing as the life of that person. You can never separate God from the creation. He said, how far can a spirit fall to the ground without knowledge? And you are of more value than many spirits. We are a threefold being. We're made up of spirit, we're made up of soul, and spirit, body. And our spirit is the innermost real being of us. This spirit has never changed. Even though our thoughts and our circumstances may have changed hundreds of times, this part of us is the standing forth of God in invisibility. And we can continue to cite example after example how everything in this universe works in harmony. The odds and arguments and reasoned explanations are always on the side of intelligence. There has to be an intelligent being. This universe is designed for our existence. It's only to believe, it's reasonable to believe in a divine creator who is God. And it says, much like a skeptical traveler who once asked the Arab guide, why do you believe that a camel passed by our tent last night? And he answered, it's because I see his tracks in the sand. And so we see the tracks of God everywhere in this universe. And as Christians, we accept the truth of the existence of God by faith. And it's not a blind faith. It is a faith that is based upon evidence. The argument from personal experience, we might as well accept the fact that God will always be clothed in mystery. We're never going to understand all the aspects of God. We won't be able to see him in a telescope. God can be known and experienced in a personal way through our faith in Jesus Christ. So personal experience is the best argument of all for the existence of God. As Christians, it isn't the belief in our heads that convince us, but we know by our own personal encounter with him in our hearts. We don't have to be kept in the dark concerning what God is like, for this invisible God has revealed himself through Jesus Christ. John wrote, no man has seen God at any time. The only begotten Son who is in the bosom of the Father, he has declared him. And remember the words spoken by Christ to Philip. He that has seen me has seen the Father. So every one of us can enter into that relationship with God. Each one of us can know God in a very personal way through Jesus Christ. And so often people have failed in their search. And they get restless, they get anxious, they're troubled, they're doubting, they have fear. Because they've been looking outside for that they can only find within themselves. So happiness, peace, power, satisfaction can never be found in the external. It is discovered only when we are willing to look within, to the very center of our being. For the kingdom of God is within you. And so God is seeking to save us physically, mentally, as well as morally and spiritually, by teaching us that God who works in as man works out. So as we work in this world, God is always working within us. And every vision of truth we catch, every particle of power we gain. We gain all the light that shines upon our pathway. And we want to use all this light to be employed by us in attaining this perfect symmetry of life and character. We've got to remember that the life beyond, we must carry ourselves into the light. Nothing else but ourselves. So when we leave this world, we have to take who we are, our real self. We don't take the body, we don't take the physical being. And so as we go from here today, we need to open our lives We need to permit Jesus Christ to be our personal Lord and Savior. When we do this, we will know God in the person of Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ is all the power. Is all the power of the Holy Spirit. And we'll find if we'll do this, then we'll find our lives will always be changed dramatically. And then we can always walk out of here today speaking on terms with God. The God that created the heavens and the earth. And for that we give thanks in through the name of Jesus Christ.
Amen.
We'll turn our hymnals to number 460, All the Way My Savior Leads Me, and we'll stand and sing verses 1, 2, and 3. This gift in my love for God. Let's repeat that together. I bless and freely give this gift in my love for God. Consecrate them to thy service in the name of Jesus Christ. We bless those who give in his name. My God shall provide for all your needs in accordance to his glorious riches in Christ Jesus. Amen. Let us stand and sing our love song. Beloved of God, greeting. In my integrity within me, where I know and see as God, I know and see you, O beloved, to be free, wise, and immortal. I see you unfettered and unbound, triumphant, glorious, and splendid. I see you unburdened of human belief and limitation and weight of matter. I see you unharassed, unharmed, undiseased, sparkling, and buoyant. I see you staunch, sturdy, forceful, powerful, divine. I see your eye lit with fire from on high. I see your tongue tipped with inborn celestial distinction. I behold you bright, joyous, and radiant. I see you undaunted, victorious. I see you spotless, chaste, and beautiful. I see you deathless, abiding, and sin eternal. I see you flawless, fearless, transcending yourself in all of your affairs, uninfluenced and independent. I see you smiling, sound, sane, and strong. I see you to be the mighty Son of God, brother of Jesus Christ, and joint heir of the Father to the kingdom. I see you alive with God and upheld by his free spirit forever. And all the world sees you as I see you now.
Amen.
Put hands this morning and say, let there be peace.
I went nuts last week trying to get to work. He didn't get his to work either. So it just didn't work.
Okay, so it's not,
Good to see you today. That's all I got.
Yeah, so don't worry about that. We appreciate you doing it and you starting it and being here and all that good stuff.
Okay,
You know,
now we're gonna do that.
it's a blessing once you started.
Got 48
Thank
minutes
you.
on here. I see, now we're gonna do the test. We got 48 minutes.
So you just taped it today?
Yeah.
Like, you should be able to upload it.
Yeah. They call them.
Yeah, well,
No.
I don't know, together, kind of like half shoe boots, whatever, yeah.
So the camera Wi-Fi wouldn't, you see, upload.
This should be.
It's on the live man, so?
No, see.
So yeah, that was right.
Actually, there's two of them. So you do that one first. Oh,
Leave. Push next. Just put church. Yes, it should go like that.
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, now.
Upload, yeah. And here's that one. Push next. Oh, what? I don't know why it didn't work right for me today, but I'll figure it out.
I said, you made my day, man, because
I'm gonna
I
figure
went
it out.
nuts last week, okay?
They kept talking to you.
Huh?
They kept talking to you.
Yeah, and I got into some, well, I got into the emergency network somehow.
Yeah, mine the other day said, are you trying to call 911?
See, there's something happening with the, Google and all that seem like.
Okay, now.
You did the upload?
Just a second, I'll check. Whoops.
Way it's gone, huh?
Yeah. That means you probably didn't shut the game off.
I felt like a fifth wheel today.
Really?
Yeah.
Don't, man, don't.
But it's not always like that.
No. Some days are better than others.
Yes.
I heard.
Yeah.
Wait, he took off, he didn't even shut the piano off. Okay,
Well, we'll make sure mom's okay.
let's put this one in there too. Let me shut this, lock this door over here. Always try to unlock this door during church service, you know, in case there's a fire emergency or whatever,
Oh, during the day?
whenever we're here. So, I'm doing a wedding, okay?
Today?
No, I said if I'm doing a wedding.
Oh, okay.
I try to unlock that door so there's a minute escape route. There. Thank you, sir.
And pick up these.
Well, the meeting